and welcome to the Cricket Show on 5 Live Sport this evening with me, Alistair Bruce Ball. The second Test match between England and New Zealand is going to the fifth day tomorrow with all 4 results possible. What an amazing Test match it has been so far. So between now and 10 o'clock, I'm going to be joined by former England spin bowler and member of the TMS team, Phil Tufnell, current England bowler Mark Wood, and one half of the No Balls podcast, Alex Hartley. We have plenty to discuss, including yet another century for Joe Root and Jimmy Anderson, incredibly now reaching 650 Test match wickets. You can get in touch with us as always. We'd love to hear from you. It's at 5 Live Sport on social media or 85058 on the text.
5 Live Cricket.
Good. Can see Alex jigging away on the Zoom call. Here. I've never met Alex, and I've never met Mark before. And we're doing it for the first time live on air this evening on a Zoom call. And Mark's rather menacingly chucking a cricket ball up and down in his right hand, which if I was standing at the other end of the wicket, I'd be absolutely terrified. So plenty to come on the show this evening. This is how the second Test match between England and New Zealand looks going into day 5. New Zealand closed on 224 for 7, so they lead England by 238 runs with just 3 wickets remaining, potentially 2 actually, depending on the fitness of Carl Jamieson. Daryl Mitchell, who's been a real thorn in the England side, still there on 32 not out, and Matthew Henry's unbeaten on 8. So let's say a proper hello to the team this evening. The one I can't see at the moment, but I know he's going to be there. Phil Tufnell.
Yes.
Good evening, sir. How are you?
Yes, very well, thank you. Yeah,
good.
You're
This
right.
is very exciting.
It is. There's been 4 cracking days. Full of some scintillating shots, I must say.
Yeah.
There's been a few drop catches and some sort of okay bowling on a pretty flat, docile kind of pitch. But you're right, it's just started to quicken up a little bit, and we're all turning up tomorrow, all very excited.
So Phil, I was covering football in Belfast yesterday, got off the plane this morning, got in my car to drive into London to present the show, and I flick on TMS, and the first delivery I hear is that ludicrous, I mean, Aggers couldn't believe it, the Root ramp off Southey, the second ball that I just...
Second ball he faced. Let me say that yesterday that partnership between Joe Root and Ollie Pope in that second session when they scored, I don't know, about 140 runs, it was absolutely sublime. I mean, the pitch is flat, that's for sure. I don't think Woody would fancy bowling on that one. But the way they went about their business, it was scorching to the boundary. And they just, that tempo... the way they knocked off the 1s and 2s, they ran New Zealand ragged. And then he came out this morning, second ball he'd faced, and ramped Southey for 6. I mean, it was amazing. When we were I was doing the highlights package, and they put 3 deliveries in exactly the same place were bowled to Joe Root. One of them he square drove for 4. The other one he nipped over to the onside and whacked it back past mid-on. And then the other one, he ramped for 6. I mean, what do you do? Where'd you bowl? Where'd you go from there as a bowler?
Mark, what do you do if someone does that to you, ramps you?
They've got it easy, these batsmen, honestly, I tell you. where do you bowl at them?
Yeah.
Rudy shot that shot. It wasn't just a scoop, over the wicketkeeper. He managed to get it at the offside as well. So he's gone almost the wrong way and got it over. It was a hell of a shot. I think someone like Joe who keeps the score and ticking, he's very difficult to hold down, just because you think, like Tuffa says, you can bowl the same ball that he'll hit it in 3 different places, and there's a bowler that can be so frustrating when you've got your own plan, or you're trying to work something out. I mean, often you have like a Jimmy or a Brodie, and then you've got the captain coming over, so it'll be a bit like, right, we're going to stick to this plan, and then when they do something like that, you're like, right, throw that out the window, let's try something else. Then that doesn't work, and before you know it, you look up and Root's got like 20-30 runs in like 2 or 3 overs, and you think, where's this come from? I haven't bowled a bad ball yet.
Yeah, the nick he's in at the moment, you're right, Mark, you've got to get him within that first 20 or 30 ball period, because if you don't, he just looks in the form of his life. Great big smile on his face. You can almost see that the weight of the captaincy's sort of off his shoulders, and he's just enjoying life.
Alex, I don't know how much of the Test match you've been able to listen to, watch, kind of, be a part of. How much have you enjoyed it as a Test match, as a spectacle so far?
Well, it's been completely different to the first one that we had, hasn't it? We've had the first one where wickets were tumbling every 20 minutes and it was thrilling to watch. And then this one's been the complete opposite. I have thoroughly enjoyed sitting on my sofa and just watching everybody rack up all the runs. It's been brilliant. And then to watch Joe Root today and yesterday, to be fair, he's just fantastic, isn't he? I would like to say I bowled him into some form on Tuesday when I bowled at him in a charity game. So, but he was already in form, wasn't he? But when he had the ability just to pick me out and hit me over extra for 6 and then over mid-wicket for 6 and then sweep me for 6, I was like, this guy's actually pretty good at cricket.
Did you get him in the end, Alex?
No, he came down the other end. I said, I hope you feel guilty for hitting a girl for all those 6s. He said, no, you're a professional.
There you go. And Ollie Pope, by the way, what a knock that was as well. Got dropped early on, but there's been a lot of chat about him coming in at number 3 and Joe going down to 4. So it was a great opportunity for him to sort of cement that place and play with confidence. He had a bit of luck early on, but then he started going and he was unfurling some cracking shots as well. So he'll be absolutely delighted with that. It just sort of takes the pressure off, doesn't it? Everyone's sort of going, is he going to be able to bat at 3? And all the press, you can feel them sharpening the pencils. Well, that's just gone away for a little while now, and he can sort of relax into it.
There was just a point, Mark. So I was sort of getting ready for the show this evening and obviously listening to the guys on Test Match Special, where you felt New Zealand with the run out were just slightly losing their heads a little bit, kind of in the closing session this evening. It's so fascinatingly poised, isn't it, at the moment?
Yeah, and it would have been interesting actually if that was the other way around. When it's England, it's that they've lost the plot again. But actually, New Zealand, you don't normally expect that from them. You sort of think of them as this cool, calm team led by Williamson. But it was great for us to see a bit of drama and show that they can feel like that as well, and to put them under pressure. Stokes' run out was brilliant earlier on, then to get another run out. It just shows that behind the scenes we're putting in that work, and New Zealand, hopefully, if they are flapping a little bit, hopefully tomorrow morning's the time where they're still under a bit of pressure, a bit of sleepless night, and we can really get at them in the morning.
Yeah, I think what will happen is that England will go for it. You've just got the feeling over these last 4 days, and they're all talking about this new regime with Brendan McCullum and Ben Stokes and what have you. That's been sort of like at the forefront of everyone's minds. But you are seeing little glimmers of it. I mean, the way Stokesy played yesterday, he's came out and perhaps a bit of a rush of blood with the shot he got out for, because he just bopped him straight back over his head for 6. But just in the field placings, Mark, you're seeing, 4 slips, 2 gullies. They're leaving that extra cut, that point man open. Even when a partnership is developing, they're still looking to go hunting for wickets. And it's been really nice to see.
Yep, and I'm sure some of the bowlers' economies they're not very happy with those economies, but that's the way to go with wickets. That's the way that we're trying to go, and which is someone remarkable. Someone like Jimmy, you think of them fields, and he's still going at 2 and over when everyone else is going at 4 and 5s. But I just feel like the way that they're going. I mean, you saw when Broad got that wicket, they all sort of pointed up the dressing room. That was a sort of team plan. You can see that there's sort of like a real togetherness from, it feels like the staff and the players and everyone, they're all, I know we feel like that as players, but it's nice to see, or for the public to see that, that everybody is in it together as a group. It's not just the players and the staff and this and that. It seems like it's a real, togetherness and an attacking mentality that's coming off at the minute.
I think McCullum had a guilty smile with that wicket when they all pointed at the dressing room, didn't he? Because it looked like the plan had come from him. But that's brilliant to see, when the coach gets involved and just says, look, I know these players inside out. I know their plans and their games. And now I can help you guys and help this England team, make some proper changes. And even when Bracewell came out and he was absolutely smoking everyone everywhere, to still have 2 slips and mid-on and then get the wicket, get him out caught mid-on, that was Stokesy. He's aggressive mindset. So I think it's been really good to see.
Both teams have scored quickly, Alex, which has made it such a great listen, such a great watch. 238 is the lead at the moment with 3 wickets left. What do you fancy England could chase down?
I mean, I think Folksy said anything under 300 or just below. I think it's going to be set up for a proper game of cricket tomorrow, isn't it? You know, I think if England can come out and get a couple of quick wickets, stay with their aggressive mindset, which they will. I think Stokes, he said that he hates draws, so he's going to want to win. He's going to want to win this Test match, you know. So I think just go out there and play aggressively, play the way they have been doing, and the win's definitely on the cards. We saw in the winter with England women, they nearly chased down 340 on day 4 of a Test match. You know, so when you put your mind to it and you do play aggressive cricket, anything is possible.
Yeah, no Jameson as well because his back's been busted. So they're a bowler down.
Is that the technical term, Phil?
Well, he's gone in the tin tack, isn't he? He's gone in the back. Tim South, he's having one of those games, 0 for 150 odd, and then run out for 0 as well. So it's really going to be down to Bolt to look to try and stop England from getting those runs. And 270, 280, even a few more. Yeah. The pitch hasn't disintegrated. It's still pretty flat. It's on the cards. And with this new sort of England mindset, as Alex was saying, I think they'll definitely be going. Unlike Lords, do you remember when they set them 270 and then didn't bother? But you just feel that this England team, there's something just bubbling under it a little bit. And so, I expect us just to really get themselves over the line, you know.
Yeah, it's interesting you say that, Phil. I mean, Mark, looking at the stats, England have successfully chased a target of over 300 runs only 4 times in Test match history. But like Phil's saying, under McCullum and Stokes, records are there to be broken, aren't they? They're capable of doing it.
Yeah, but I don't think it's the runs that worries. It's more the rhythm of the game. I think New Zealand are a very smart team. The rhythm of the game, you can't just expect England to come out and the bowlers will walk back their mark. Next ball they'll try and smack it again. That isn't how the game's going to go. It's going to be more, if we do bowl them out for whatever total, New Zealand will be very clever. There'll be scouts out. There'll be clever positions to take wickets. Of course, wickets then stop the flow of runs. They'll be slowing the game down at different points. So this isn't going to be England come out, start thrashing it everywhere, and New Zealand, are just going to keep running and bowl. The thing that I worry about is it's more the rhythm of the game. Can England, when there's stoppages, when there's little breakups, when there's wickets fall, can they keep that momentum going? Because it's never easy to just say, next guy come in and Test match cricket, we'll keep blasting it. I know the wicket's good, but it never sort of works like that. So the rhythm of the game is the one that really worries me. It's not the runs, because I think that genuinely we could get them. Even if it is 300, I think we could win. It's more New Zealand sort of match awareness, match cleverness. That's the bit that would worry me.
Is there anything you can do positively to affect that? So again, obviously I work in football a lot, and you always, note the gamesmanship and how you run a game down and whatever. And it's so frustrating for the team that are trying to get back in the game or win the game. So if you're England in that scenario, what can you do to sort of keep the momentum going forward? Don't get out, I guess.
I think partnership. Any sort of partnership that you get going, the thing that'll kill it is wickets. That's what kills the game is and then that'll sort of spur them on to think, well, actually we've seen England collapse in the past. Will that happen again? And then England's under pressure. So I think to stop that sort of thing, you've got to put them under pressure. I think the thing that I said before about the running was great first instance. If we can put them under pressure on the field, run hard, Root and Pope, the way that their style, Lees and Crawley, if they're positive up top, but that doesn't mean reckless. It means defending well, leaving well. If we can see off that early bit from Bolt and Southey, who are experienced bowlers, then the rhythm of the game starts to come to our sort of fashion with Pope, Root, Bairstow, Stokes. They're all exciting players, so I think it's just partnerships to start with and not giving them a sniff.
And also that outfield is absolutely lightning.
I didn't bother running. If it's
there was like trails of burnt turf behind it. I mean, a lot of the times when they were looking to go leg side and they had 3 on the leg side boundary and bowling the short ball, if you middled it, no one was stopping it.
So England had this thing, right, where you had they said if the ball went past you, you had to sprint after it to the boundary every time. Didn't matter if it was going to go for 4, you had to keep sprinting. I've been watching this 2 strides, the ball's there, no stopping. There's absolutely no sprinting going on whatsoever.
No, it is absolutely on fire out there, and I think Woody's right there. I mean, if England can just get that partnership with the likes of the Joe Root and the likes of Ollie Pope, they're busy players. They like to just drop ones and twos, run them ragged. When the bad ball comes along, put it away. But you're right. It's about that momentum in a run chase. The wicket is there to do it. That is for sure.
Alex, we're looking at that from how England would look at it positively. How would New Zealand look at it positively going into the final day, do you think?
I think they've got to back themselves to get a couple of quick wickets. It's been England's story for a while now where they're going to be 20 for 2. So I think New Zealand will come out and they'll say, right, let's get them 20 for 2. Let's get Joe Root in as early as possible. Put all the pressure on Rooty as much as we can because he has been the backbone to this England batting lineup for such a long time. Can we get him early in that first 20 or 30 balls that Tuffers was going on about before? And then England are very much capable of a collapse. Yes, they've had a brilliant test match, but we can't forget about everything else that's gone on. So New Zealand will back themselves to bowl England out, and England, on the other hand, will back themselves to chase the runs down. So it's going to be brilliant.
Yeah, absolutely. As you say, 20 for 2, it's more like 40 for 4. That's what New Zealand will be thinking, because that's what we've been seeing over the last couple of years. So they'll think they're just, one away or a couple of wickets away from running through, because we haven't got a massive tail. I haven't seen too much of Potts bat, and we know sort of what Broady and Jimmy are all like that. So they'll be thinking, just get to that middle order in England, have a little bit of luck, and then they can force the win.
What that means is, if you've not got a ticket, don't miss Test Match Special tomorrow.
Well, it's free.
I was just going to say, Phil.
It's free tomorrow.
It's free. It's free. So if you can go, free entry into Test Bridge, but you've got to buy your ticket before you go. So don't just rock up. I think you'll have to get to the website, whichever website it is. That's not very helpful, is it, as the presenter to say whichever website it is?
I think it's the Nottinghamshire website.
Thank you, Alex.
I saw earlier.
Thank you very much indeed. So go there, and if you've got a day or can manage a day or can wangle a day somehow, do it. And by the way, if you've got a ticket already for day 5 that you've bought, that will be refunded.
Good effort. I reckon it'd be full. Tomorrow. I really do. I mean, the ground was about half full today, but people have been saying, Test cricket, are people going to come? Are there going to be bums on the seats? It's been rocking down at Trent Bridge. When Root got his 100 and Ollie Pope got his 100, the ovation that was going round was it was spine-tingling.
Yeah, I'm meant to be presenting tomorrow. I'm wondering whether I can get there, actually.
There you go.
I was just thinking that. I was
exactly.
I might go down, actually.
Yeah, come in fancy dress, Alistair. They'll never know it's you. Come as one of those Super Marios or Tarzan or something.
That's a brilliant idea, Phil. I won't take you up on that. Right, let's try and find something new to say about Joe Root. That's going to be very difficult to do. He played an unbelievable innings again, finished on 176 before he was out, and was actually visibly annoyed when he was caught by Southey, despite the magnificence of the knock. So was this one of the greatest Test innings ever played? Well, Joe Root's dad, I listened to this actually at tea time, this was lovely. Matt Root was on Test Match Special earlier on today, and Jonathan Agnew asked him if he'd ever seen Joe bat better than in this innings.
I don't think so, no.
All the years?
No, he had a great spell, I think 2016, when he got a big score against Pakistan at Old Trafford. But I don't think I've ever seen him bat as well as he has done in the last 2 games, no.
And what is it about the way he's playing that makes it stand out to you then?
I don't know, I can always, when he gets his feet moving, you can always tell he's got a bit of rhythm. And I worried a little bit when he went in this first innings, because he was playing up. He feels as though he's in such good form, he can score off every ball. So he's going after balls that he probably wouldn't necessarily go after, but he just looks. I mean, as I think Vaughan said earlier on commentary, there were 3 balls from Saudi that pitched pretty much in the same spot. He's hit one through mid-on for 4, one through cover point for 4, and one over the keeper's head for 6. So it's really difficult to bowl at guys when they're in that sort of form.
Yeah, I was trying to work out where you bowl to him at the moment. It's so tough, isn't it? I mean, he's ruthless. He's got this cherubic smile, your son, and yet he's a silent assassin. I mean, he dismembered poor old Southey yesterday.
Well, he does have a bit of a ruthless streak. He might look cherubic, but for a while now. I mean, I can remember we were out at we were involved in setting up a cricket facility in Desert Springs in Spain. We've got a place out there, and we went out there, and he spent a week before the Sri Lanka tour that was cancelled due to COVID. And I haven't thrown balls at him for probably 10 or 15 years, and I was stood about 15 yards away with one of these dog ball thrower things, and spent an hour just throwing balls, and I just could not believe how close to the middle of the bat every shot was. I sort of got a bit of a sense for what these guys have been feeling bowling at him today.
Yeah, it wasn't just the way you were throwing the ball then.
Probably, yeah.
I never mastered that. Did we throw it quite accurately?
It took me a while to get used to it, and I think I threw my back out at the end. But and since then, I think he's batted reasonably well throughout the COVID. Sri Lanka, India, at the beginning of last summer, batted well, and then he's got 4 centuries this year as well. So he's in top form.
Lovely interview with Joe Root's dad, speaking to Jonathan Agnew on Test Match Special earlier on today. Annoyingly tough, as I didn't think about this, live on the radio tonight. The boss is listening, has just texted me and said, you can't call in sick, you've stuffed yourself. So I've had a shocker there.
You have.
Alex, we're all taking great pleasure at the moment in watching Joe Root bat. And it's so interesting listening to his dad talking there. So, we take that sort of pleasure. Imagine what that must be like watching your son bat like that for England.
Oh, well, I think his dad actually just said, I've bowled him into this amazing form that he's in, didn't he? He literally said, ever since that net, he's had a brilliant run of form. But it must be amazing, mustn't it? All the hard work that you see your kids do and put in it. When you grow up and you play cricket, it takes hours out of your teenage life. You miss out on so much. You don't go to parties with your friends. You miss out on 18th, 21st birthdays, all of this. And now it's worth it, isn't it? You're playing cricket for your England. You've captained your country. Now he can just go out. He's not captain anymore. Enjoy his cricket. I mean, I've seen a picture of when he lost the toss in the West Indies to the other day, and he's smiling on the pitch, and it looks like two completely different people. The weight is off his shoulders. So for a parent to be able to see that and just see Joe go out and play those shots like he is, he must be incredibly proud.
It just looks so easy for him at the moment, And I was talking, Mo and Ali came on to do a couple of days with us on TMS and on the highlights as well. And he was saying that during lockdown, everyone sort of, I don't know, sort of just took it easy, sat back a little bit and sort of like, oh, crikey, what are we going to do now? He said Joe was looking at all his old ways he got out, and really had that time off. He spent virtually every day trying to sort of mentally prepare himself, so that just shows that in order to get to that level, and it's also the amount of balls he hits. I mean, he hits a lot of balls, it's a bit like a golfer. The best, what do they say, the more you practice, the better you get, and he hits a big amount of balls like Stokesy as well. And he just looks in the right place at the moment. He's played some wonderful innings here. The one against Australia, the one against India as well. So he obviously likes Trent Bridge and the surroundings, and he feels comfortable there. But he is peeling off some serious knocks at the moment. It just looks so easy for him.
Mark, his dad there talked about the ruthless streak. I think it was Jonathan who used the phrase ruthless streak, but his dad picked up on that and said, he has a ruthless streak. Have you seen that?
In the nets 24/7.
Yeah.
You think he'd take it easy on someone, but he never does. No, I think when I think of Rooty, the way that he plays and things like that, like I think of the rhythm and the way that he picks his bat up, the way that he moves, just has a lovely flow about his innings all the time. The way that he sort of even practices, everything has a similar way. Mo's exactly right in what he says, and he looked at everything. He went away. I remember in lockdown, he was doing fitness and everything to gear himself up. Exactly right. And I've told Tough as this before. When I've batted with Rooty before, remember we faced Mitchell Stark, and Rooty would say, "Right, look at his seam. His seam when it's going to swing in. If it's scrambled, it's going to come across you." I was like, "Rooty, I see a red flash. What are you on about this seam position?" But he just sees a totally different game than everyone else. So, amazing, really. I mean, listen to his dad interview that. He is playing phenomenally well at the minute. I cannot look past Sri Lanka. As soon as the first thing I think of is the best he played is Sri Lanka. Then pitches was spinning square, and nobody else could get a run, and he was getting doubles and stuff like that. I mean, he's playing phenomenal at the minute, but it's totally different conditions. I just feel like he's playing as well as he ever probably has at the minute, but I still feel like throughout all the time I've watched him, those Sri Lankans now, all them Sri Lankans are probably the best.
And we all keep sort of banging on about it and thinking about, it's because of the captaincy, sort of like these off his shoulders. He's been doing this for the last 2 years, really. He's been, what did he get, 1400s, I think, when he was captain of England, and that was around, a bit of a shambles what was going on around him, and he wasn't getting a lot of support. So, he's been batting beautifully for a long time, but it just seems to have just nipped up a level.
Yeah, he found captaincy harder than batting in terms of a skill in cricket. I mean, captaincy obviously is not easy, but I mean, the batting has never altered, has it? I mean, the batting has just been sensational throughout. Captaincy is up and down and difficult, and he's, you know...
He's been... I think he'll hold his hands up as well and say that he didn't particularly... I think he finds it hard. He found it hard to switch off from the captaincy.
Right.
There was so much going on back, behind the scenes and what have you. And, I've talked to Michael Vaughan about this and a few other captains. Sir Alistair Cook was there today as well. And, you'd go there for a meeting, you'd sit in an hour's meeting and it wouldn't be about cricket,
Yeah.
And so there are all these other things that are going on in your mind. But I think that it's all encompassing that England cricket captain job, and let's hope that Ben Stokes can sort of just find a pathway through it as well. But I think he'll even admit himself that he didn't particularly, grasp the captaincy. But I mean, with the bat in his hand, even when he was captain and now, he's just been fabulous. He's a great player. He's got to be the best in the world. He's got to be number one in the world now, hasn't he? Well, he's got to be number
Definitely.
one. Got to be.
In the form he's in at the minute, definitely. He'd talk about his bats, all right. He's got the same sponsor as me.
Yeah.
And I used to think, well, it's something in the bat. I can tell you, it's definitely not, because I didn't get a run and he gets loads. So it's not just the bat.
Does he get given bigger ones than you, would he?
Rooty's just come with runs already in him.
You get given those little ones.
Alex, where so tough as I said there, if New Zealand are going to get him, so he comes in tomorrow, let's say England are chasing 300, it's that first 20-30 balls, where'd you bowl to him?
Honestly, you don't know, do you? The way he's playing, you don't know. I think because he feels like he is in such good form in the form of his life, and he can play shots to every single ball. I guess as a New Zealand bowler, you sort of just got to hope that he fishes out one outside the off stump that just nips off the pitch, either back towards him or away to bring the slips into play and the keeper. But when you're in such good form and you can play shots to every single delivery, I guess that's where Joe Root has to sort of concentrate ever so slightly more so he's not being reckless. But the way he's batting, he's not showing any signs of reckless behaviour. Yeah,
he does early on. Early on, he just does sit sometimes on that back foot and he can get caught in the crease a bit. So if you bowled of anything, that bit fuller, or perhaps even a Trent Bolt, that bit fuller, he sometimes doesn't quite get forward enough because your feet are moving. It's the same as every batsman. I mean, I've been sitting there looking at it, thinking exactly the same. How would I look to do this? Blah, 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 blah. And he does, just as to say, that first 20 or 30 balls, he does just sometimes sit on that back foot a little bit. But apart from that, good luck there.
If he gets an edge on one, you don't want to drop him, do you?
There's been a few drops. There's been some drops.
Well, there has, Phil, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, so what's going on there then?
No idea. No idea. Okay. I mean, is it seeing ground? I don't know. No. Is it, there's a little bit of wobble afterwards? I don't know. Yeah. But there have been some catches dropped down. Yeah. And that's one of the main reasons why, we did so well at Lords. We call everything, and it's the old cliche in the book, catches win matches, but no, we did drop. Mitchell was dropped by Joe, actually, wasn't he? He was on about 3.
Just before we move on to Ollie Pope, really quick one. I don't want to get into a long debate about this one because they're so difficult, these debates. But Phil, you were saying there, got to be number one in the world at the moment. Michael Vaughan has said, I really do believe Joe Root is England's greatest ever player. Now you can judge that on runs scored, can't you, or whatever, or are we more just talking about just what he's able to do in terms of the shots that he's got, his all-round game?
Well, yeah, not necessarily the shots, because then you can come in and sort of say someone like a Kevin Peterson or someone like that, sure. Fantastic player. But Woody sort of touched on it earlier there. It just seems to be in all situations. Okay, didn't have a great tour of Australia, but there were a few other sort of reasons for that. But from Sri Lanka to Trent Bridge, from Barbados to wherever, that double 100 in India. It just seems that his all-round game. I think he is for sure. I mean, who are you going to put in front of him? All right, we could go back to Sir Len Hutton or something. I'm not sure, but just for it's the art of batting that he's got. It's the art of batting. It's not necessarily just going out there and playing on line and length. It's about manoeuvring the field. It's about sometimes letting go the away swinging half volley, even though you fancy going after it. Compiling an innings. That's batting, and I think we've lost that a little bit as an England batting line-up. You know, they see the line, they see the length, and they just react. Well, sometimes you've got to let the odd half volley go by, you know, because it might just do something, or you're not quite in, or something like that. So I think for the art of batsmanship and compiling runs, he's got to be.
Okay, greatest ever, says Phil, in that regard. Mark, Alex, anything to add to that particular debate?
Go on, Woody.
I don't want to step on Phil's point there. I think that was spot on.
Yeah.
I think that the way that he plays, I think Phil summed it up perfectly there. So no, I don't think I need to add anything to that.
Go on, Alice.
No, I was going to say, no, I've got nothing to say either. I think Phil summed it up beautifully.
Yeah.
Maybe the way, you know, he's capable of changing games as well. You know, he can just do it all, can't he?
Yeah. By the way, lads, this is a radio show, so you've got to say something.
You've said it all, Phil.
You keep talking, Tuffers.
In terms of trying to nick off to the cricket tomorrow, we've got an email's come in from Emily. My son was caught on the highlights from the cricket today. Had an amazing day. A bit of explaining to be done at school tomorrow.
Oh dear. What would you go as, Alistair? What would you go as if you were going?
Fancy dress.
Yeah, go on.
Tough as. Go on, say it.
What would I go as? I mean, me and my brother once won one years and years ago at a school fete as Laurel and Hardy. Unfortunately, I was Hardy. I don't know. I'll have a think about that. Actually, Phil.
Good.
Yeah.
Good.
Absolutely flying by here. What have we got? We've got 23 minutes left of the show, and we're only done Joe Root. I've not done Jimmy Anderson, not done Ollie Pope, not done Jack Leach. Let's get on with it then. Let's give Ollie Pope his dues as well. Second Test match century of his career, 145. Hadn't batted at number 3 in first class cricket before this series, but has been given that role because the new skipper Ben Stokes was adamant he wanted the Surrey man in his team. Alex, he's repaid the fate. That could be a huge innings in terms of his Test career, couldn't it? That one.
Yeah, I think having an innings like that so early on, being given that opportunity at number 3, and Ben Stokes has basically said, we back you, you are batting 3, like you go out there and you play you do you, and to get a monster of a score like he has done will give him so much confidence moving forward, because if he'd had another low score, those self-doubts, they start creeping in, don't they? You sit there in your hotel room at night going, am I a number 3 batter? I've never batted at 3 before, can I do it? Now he sits there in his hotel room and he goes, I can do it and I will do it and I have done it.
Yeah, Mark, what did you make of Ollie Pope's innings?
Busy, which is, you know, there's often a fine line, isn't there, with Popey, where people say, oh, he looks frantic, but I thought he looked busy. It's a slightly more positive sort of spin on it. I think, again, the way that he times the ball, the areas that he scores, it's not just, you know, you can shut off one side of the field, he scores both sides. Obviously, he's strong on the offside, but all those things that maybe were thrown at Popey and the questions that were asked of him, I'm really pleased that he's overcome some of those things. I mean, they're always going to be there or thereabouts, but to put to bed in his own mind, I think the talent, even bowling at him in the nets and things, undoubted. Honestly, one of the most talented players that you could bowl at, or who I've bowled at. I think when you come to the game, when you know you're under pressure and things like that, he was playing in ways that, you know, weren't helping him. But this innings, it seemed like when he got into his rhythm, when he was out of that sort of busy to / frantic stage, when he became busy Ollie Pope instead of frantic Ollie Pope, he looked like the lad that we see in the nets every other day, every other week. I hope he's got some new pads, by the way, because he changed his pads and then he got out, didn't he? So he's got to have some new pads. That should never happen again. But I think, you know, for him, a real jump in terms of his development and mindset, and going into the next innings, he'd be feeling much more confident.
I make you right, Mark, actually. I think there's still work to do. I think he is a little bit fidgety early on, and then as his innings developed, you did see it become more busy instead of fidgety. Still likes a little flick outside off stump to those balls that are a little bit wide, and a couple of the hook shots he played as well. I think he's got to be a little bit careful of them. They're sort of like they're sort of wide of that off stump, and he tries to sort of shovel it round to the leg side instead of, you know, that's always going to be a little bit out of control. But a wonderful innings for him. He'll be absolutely delighted with it. As you say, it will just settle him down now. He'll feel a little bit more at home. He'll feel like, you know, I've actually sort of proved a few people wrong, and I can just relax and settle into this sort of like role that I've been given. And another sign of this new positive England, come on now, Popey, you're our number 3. We're going to give you there. We're going to back you. We're going to let you go out and play your own way. But there is still work to be done with him. He's still, for me, just wants to flick out a little bit too much. Going to be interesting to see how he plays against Bolt tomorrow.
I'll tell you what's a good sign about Pope as well is that it wasn't just a 100 and then he got out, was it? He went on and on, which I think is something that, when people look at that, it means that when he gets in, he's settled, he's got good, good judgment, and those signs that he can be a great test match player are there because he's not just comfortable with getting 100. He wants to get big hundreds and influence the game. And I think that's a great sign. Absolutely.
And there's a couple of people on the TMS team that are avid Surrey supporters, and I've been waiting to see this Ollie Pope that they keep on going on about, and I haven't seen it as yet, but there were signs. A couple of fantastic extra cover drives, really quick at sort of latching on and cutting over the slips heads, and which was a bit of a trademark of his knock in South Africa as well, taking on the quicks and sort of uppercutting them and cutting them. So absolutely pleased for the young man, but just want to see that little bit more concentration and application outside that off stump a bit.
That's about 40 minutes on batting. Do you fancy doing a bit of bowling?
Yeah,
do a bit of bowling?
That.
Yes, please.
I don't think none of us average over 10, sat here.
Let's get onto the bowling side of things, though. What a day it's been again for Jimmy Anderson. He's reached 650 Test match wickets.
Anderson round the wicket, bowls. Oh, he's bowling! Played no shot. I tell you what's hit about Midland leg, looking at the way the stumps are leaning there. What a misjudgment from Latham.
650 for Jimmy Anderson.
Absolutely remarkable numbers. I mean, just year after year on this show, talking about Jimmy Anderson and the next milestone and the next one. And Mark, in terms of that dismissal for the 650th, I mean, it looks foolish, doesn't it, from the batsman's point of view? But is that just the challenge of facing Anderson? Has he done that to him?
650. You
That's
said
a
that
lot.
650.
It's a lot.
They got any spare? 650. How well, man. I think he works people over, doesn't he? That's what it is. I think Latham being in the field a long time, captaining. The worst thing that you want after that is to face Jimmy, because he just never gives you a minute peace. He's at you all the time. Whether it's a leave or a play, it's not an easy leave. You're having to make that choice, right? Concentrate, right? That's a leave. Next one, I've got to play. He never misses that length. I think that's so crucial with Jimmy, is that his length is immaculate. And he's always asking questions. He's always at people. You never get that release with. If you think you're like probably someone like myself, you'll get a 4-ball or an easy leave or something. With Jimmy, it's just relentless. If you look, like I mentioned earlier on the show, if you look at the figures from the game, everyone's gone at 4s, 5s, and over. Jimmy's gone at 2s the whole game. He's just relentless. He's
nearly 50.
Exactly. I just the passion when he got Latham out that wicket as well. Arm in the air, you could see him looking at Latham as if, I've got you there. And he'll never not want to be that winner, that guy that influences the match.
That is what I find so impressive, Alex. Not just in cricket, but in any sport. But it's one thing maintaining the fitness, which is incredible, as you say. At Jimmy Anderson's age, he just looks so lean and lithe and look like he could go for years and years and years. But maintaining the motivation to keep wanting to do it, to work hard, to keep, to get, and still that joy that Mark's talking about. That's the thing that I think is so hugely impressive.
It is, and it's that wanting to get better as well, isn't it? He's England's greatest bowler of all time, but he doesn't think he is. He genuinely thinks that I can get better. There's still things that I can do to work on. The start of the year when he didn't go to the West Indies, he was playing for Lancashire. He's like, this is a great time for me to get better. I was like, get better? You don't need to get better. He's like, but I want to get better. And I think that's why he's such an unbelievable bowler, an unbelievable cricketer, and why he's been so successful, because he's got that determination to get better and better, even though he is the best.
Phil, you've obviously watched him now for years and years and years. I mean, is he getting better, do you think?
Well, he's a hugely skillful bowler and adaptable to most conditions. Well, all conditions. I mean, he bowls pretty well everywhere, all around the world, doesn't he? And and just on show there today, flat pitch, and I'll just go back to what Mark said. That there's Tim Southey. Fantastic seam bowler, great record. Bolt as well, great bowler. They're not as if they're. He hasn't got a lot of experienced bowlers around him, and they were absolutely put to the sword by the Mitchell and Root and Pope and everything like that. But Jimmy Anderson, as you say, went a 2 and over. And was it 170 test matches? Has he played 100? How many test matches has he played?
I've not got that. Wow,
it's not
170 something. Yeah,
170 odd test matches for a fast bowler.
Yeah.
It's just phenomenal. It's a joy to watch. You know exactly what you're going to get with James Anderson. I don't think I've ever seen him bowl poorly, really, for England in a funny sort of way. He might go for 3 or 3.5 and over somewhere, but you just know he's going to be knocking on the door, probing, nagging, making batsmen think about feet and where the bat's coming down and where the off stump is. He must be an absolute joy for a captain.
And that's exactly what I was going to say. That he's dependable for a captain. So, because if you need to control the game, or you're thinking, right, I can attack with this guy at this end, we need somebody to sit in. Jimmy Gunn's a 2 and over, constantly asking questions, 1 and over. Then Jimmy gets a wicket, you get a new guy, and you can attack with other bowlers again. So actually, his role in the side is so crucial for Stokesy, because he can then manoeuvre his other pieces around Jimmy. He's dependable. He can get you a wicket when you need one, but also he can control the game. And I think that control element as well, helping other bowlers, working in a partnership, working people over. If he racks up 2 or 3 maidens, Jimmy, the guy at the other end is under serious pressure. Not the bowler, I mean the batsman is under serious pressure to then relieve some pressure on his partner. So it's great for the team that, Jimmy can, through his sheer skill, can help the guy, his partner at the other end, his bowling partner.
Yeah, and also he's now. He's got into the Oppo batters' heads. They know that they're going to, their technique's going to be tested. They're not going to be able to get on top of him. So it's almost sort of like, we've just got to go out here and try and survive. There might be the odd ball that you can get away and everything, but that's a very difficult mindset, to then sort of say that I'm going to get myself in, but here he comes again. I've just got to keep, where's me off stump? Am I leaving it? Am I playing it? I'm on 70. I want to start enjoying myself and start smacking it about. You know what I mean? But you just need to go back into your shell with him. He gives you nothing.
If you're a younger player, Alex, in that England team, is there perversity? I mean, obviously, we always talk about the influence that the senior players can have, and they can pass on their knowledge, and they're great to learn from. Is there perversely almost a pressure that comes with that, because you feel you don't want to let them down because they are so good, Root and Anderson and Stokes and Broad?
I think if the young lads aren't being absolute sponges in that team, then that they're being idiots. I think when you're playing with somebody like Anderson and Root and you're a young lad, use them, abuse them, get to know them. Why are they so good? What do they do? Speak to Anderson about his variations, or how he holds his seam for the in-swinger, the away swinger. You've got to ask these questions, because there's a reason why he's the greatest of all time. And I think Potts will learn a lot being in and around these great England players.
Yeah, I've been impressed with Potts, Mark.
Yeah, very good, very good. Like I say, I think, he's been another one, really, when you think about the way that he's bowled throughout the series. He's been there and thereabouts all the time, relentless, charging in. Even when there was not much happening tonight, I thought he ran in really well. Ran in hard. From his paces, it looked like, 83, 84. But actually, it looked like it was heavy, the way that the batsmen were playing it and stuff. So, impressed with the way that he's carried himself, and I hope that he can carry that on.
Yeah.
Slightly concerning news. My iPad just told me it's got 5% left, so I could disappear on the Zoom anytime soon. But don't worry, my voice will still be there. So just shout if you need to jump in and have your say. Definitely want to chat Jack Leach as well, Alex and Phil in particular, in terms of the art of spin bowling. So 3 wickets in the match could potentially be pivotal on day 5. Well, England still need the 3 wickets. Where are we with Jack Leach and England spinners at the moment? Because I was listening to Moeen Ali on Test Match Special, talking about a potential Test comeback. Adil Rashid was in the press in the week as well, talking about red ball cricket again. How do you think Jack Leach is doing at the moment, Alex?
I don't know, but as a bowler, if 2 players said that I'm going to come out of retirement, because England need a spinner, that would give me a bit of fire in my belly to be like, this is my time to prove you wrong. You don't need me. I'm in this team. I'm in this starting 11. You stay out there. You just play white ball cricket. I've got this. I think Jack Leach is getting better and better. There are still obviously some questions to be asked. You know, he seems to be one of those bowlers where he's quite easy to go after. There's been times where I've watched him and his seam position isn't quite right, and he's coming round the ball rather than going over the top of the ball and getting big revs on it. I don't know what Tuffers thinks, but I think he's easy to get after, but he's picked up a couple of wickets because the batters are trying to score quickly this Test match. He's probably one of the only players in that team that we do question.
Yeah, I think I've looked at Jack over this Test match, and first of all, I think he feels a bit tight. He feels a little bit under pressure because he hasn't done the bowling. You know, he banged his head at Lords, and it's always, I don't think he's played a home Test match since 2019. So I think he's almost in a funny sort of way trying a little bit too hard. But I was a bit disappointed, I must admit, with his consistency this game. He'd bowl you at least one or two sort of like poor, short deliveries just to relieve pressure. If you're a spin bowler, you've got to be able to join the dots. You've got to be able to bowl maidens, and he wasn't able to do that this game. They could easily just get back. But then also the other thing that I've been looking at, and I said it on the highlights as well, is that he's not getting any drift. And you need drift to, you know, that's what does for good players. And if you're not getting any drift and your release point is, let's say, you know, at sort of like a 1 o'clock or a 12 o'clock, you're very straight down the pitch instead of getting that drift. I sort of my release point was about 11 o'clock. So you could sort of drift the ball in to the right hander and then spin it away. And that means that you're always sort of like getting the players playing against the spin, because they sort of like can open up a little bit. And I was looking at the way he bowled at the left-handers as well. And I know he got Conway out, but that was perhaps sort of like batsman error. But he just couldn't seem to get it outside that off stump, you know. And that's because his release point is a little bit too high. And I think they say, what do they say? Beyond the perpendicular. I mean, I'm not quite sure what that means, but you know what I mean. It's too high. And so everything's just drifting into the left-hander. You've got to drift it away, because that then brings in the outside edge. And then if it does turn, that brings in the inside edge. It's just, he's bowling a little bit too sort of like straight. His trajectory is a little bit too straight, and if he then against good players, they'll get on the back foot and just knock you away, and that rotate strike, you go at 3 or 4 and over, and you can't create any pressure. So I do think he's under a little bit of pressure. I hope he goes out and bowls well, and just relax it, and just relax and enjoy. As you say, you know, there's been Moeen Ali and there's Adil Rashid coming back and everything like that. You're in the hot seat. Go out and enjoy it. He looks like he's a little bit tense. You know, what will be in the future.
You get your best out your spin bowlers when they are relaxed, and when you talk about being relaxed, it's not about going out there and you know, arms baggy and, you know, shoulders relaxed. It's about being rhythmical in your bowling action and just owning the crease really, and saying, right, this is my time. What you want from your spin bowlers is to be able to hold up an end. You want to be able to put pressure on, and you want them to be able to go at 2 and over, 3 and over, and, you know, just contain an end. Whereas, like Tuffers was saying, Jack Leach has got that one bad ball in him and over, which is then releasing that pressure.
Yeah, absolutely. But listen, I tell you what, we've dug out some stats. At this time in my career, at this time in Jack's career, yeah, he has bowled, I think it was something like 5,500 overs.
Yeah.
At this time in my career, at the similar stage in my career, I bowled 24,000.
I think that's going back to that point.
Amazing. He just hasn't done any bowling. You know, you've got to get a craft, you've got to get a groove, you've got to get a rhythm. They just don't sort of bowl anymore. And I think Swanee, we looked up Swanee's, his was about 19,000. He's bowled 6,000 overs. It's a bit like sort of an under 19. You know what I mean? For sort of you know, for groove and for experience. So, you know, where are we going to get these guys doing the bowling? Because you know, they start in April when it's freezing cold, and they finish when the leaves are on the ground. I know it's been addressed to it, but you've got to get spinners bowling, because that's the only way you learn your art and your craft.
I think it was Matt Parkinson that said in an interview the other day, it's not that England aren't producing spin bowlers, it's that they're just not bowling enough.
No.
You know, you get the average county seamer that's bowled so many overs where the spinners aren't even playing for the first month of the season.
Yeah. I feel sorry for Jack because I really want him to do well, and he's a top man, but I think, he's going to have to show Brendan McCullum and Ben Stokes that A, he can do a job when it's flat. And a couple of times now he's been taken down, and B, then when it is a little bit of turn and there is a little bit of something for him, he's got to put in a few match-winning performances.
Mark, just on Phil's talking technically there about the drift and sort of making a slight change. A, how difficult is that to do, and then B, how difficult is that to take into a test match arena and trust it?
Oh, you don't. I wouldn't say you take that into a test match. Anything technical, it might be something that the wicketkeeper or rookie at slip might say, look, if you can drop your arm a little bit, you might. But it's no good when he's at the top of his mark thinking technically he's got to be in the battle at that point. You're playing a test match for England. You're in the battle against New Zealand. Yeah, it's not a time to think technically. If it's tactically where you look Leachy fire him in with a bit more round arm or something, maybe, but. Like Tuffa says, I think, I just hope he's not putting too much pressure on himself. I know Leachy well, great lad in the side. I just hope that he's not putting too much pressure on himself. In India, I remember Pant got after him in that first game, and he came back really well towards back in the series, got him out. So he's got a good, strength of character. He might not, look like a Stokes or something like that, but he's somebody that, will come back. And I think that, given time, not putting too much pressure on himself, even a good wicket or a good ball that changes his fortune, all of a sudden weight lifted off him, and he hopefully he can crack on from there.
Cricket's a funny game, isn't it? It just can take one or two deliveries and you feel like a new bowler. And I think there is nobody in this country that wants Jack Leach to fail. Everybody's willing him to, go out and take wickets. Everybody loves watching him play cricket. He's a brilliant cricketer. It might just be it'll take one over where he just settles in and he goes, right, this is me.
And honestly, a question for the two spinners: is this a wicket for spin bowling? I know.
But if you're going to play in the side, and you're going to have the spinner in the side, he's got to be able first dig to give you churn yourself out 25 overs, 1 or 2 for 50, 55. And if you can't do that, you're not doing your job in that first innings, are you? You've got to be able to help you guys have a rest, rotate the seamers the other way. Graham Swan was fantastic at it. Yeah. And so that's what you've got to do. And then when it does turn later on, you've got to be able to go in there, set attacking fields, men in, silly point, short legs and slips and everything, and look to make breakthroughs. And you've got to be able to stick six and get maidens. Otherwise, you're not doing your job as a spin bowler in the first dig.
Alex, do you want a final say on that? We've got a minute to go.
I think it's not one of those wickets where, as a left-arm spinner, you're going to be beating the outside edge of a right-hander, because there is hardly any turn in the wicket at all. It's one of those where you've just got to look to bowl straight, look to hit the stumps, bowl a nice line and length. You want the batters on the front foot, probing around, bring your short leg into play. So if you can get that right, then it'll be a completely different bowler. He's got to learn to bowl on decent wickets.
Breaking news, found a mobile battery pack to keep the Zoom call going for the last 10 minutes of the show. So that's going to work for the train journey home as well, to watch a bit of something or other. Maybe some cricket highlights on the iPlayer might be the way to go. Right, we have got about 30 seconds. Let's do predictions very quickly. So England win, New Zealand win, the draw or the tie?
Well, I'm going to go, I've been here, and I think that whatever is put in front of England, they're just going to get themselves across the line.
Okay, Phil's going England win. Alex?
I'm definitely going England win.
Okay. Mark?
England win and Ali in a Tarzan costume.
Bring it on, absolutely. I don't think that prediction's going to come true, fortunately, for everyone at Trent Bridge.